as you notice, there's a lot of trends that we've been doing throughout the entire conference this year. A lot of what we're doing is based off those marketing trends, and one of the ones I'm most excited for is what we're talking about today, and some very dear friends that we're going to introduce you to. So as food as medicine gives rise to culinary medicine, ACF and chefs can significantly elevate its impact by forging partnerships with healthcare providers, school food service, and teaching kitchens across the nation and the world. Chefs can establish best practices for applying prepared, prescribed nutrition consults so patients don't compromise the taste of their meals or their health. ACF and chefs can be a powerful tool in physician's medicine bag, as well as school lunch to promote wellness and well-being for those we serve and our own self-care. A better you means a better chef and a better us. The next presentation is sponsored by Vitamix and presented by Chef Adam Wilson, will blend his background in culinary education with a passion for crafting healthy recipes. Please come help me welcome Chef Wilson.
So thank you all very much for joining us today. Super excited for the event here. And it's special for us at Vitamix. As we look at our history and everything, we're not just a blender company. The blender comes as part of our history of whole food health. And so as we look at this, Chef Metz said it earlier, as we develop our ability to look at ourselves as chefs, you have to work with our corporation and work with ourselves to craft your style, craft everything. And so a few years back, about 5 years ago, Chef Matt and myself worked with our leadership, who was brand new. We were family owned for 100 years, and they came up with the mission statement. We nourish our world by crafting superior solutions that empower people to improve their health and well-being. This is a blender company that's really focused in on health and wellness. And so with this presentation, we're going to work with the Cleveland Clinic, which is in our backyard. And Chef Perko and Dr. Roisen are world-renowned for their health and wellness point of view. And so a little bit about ourselves is we'll just go through a little bit of our health philosophy. We'll talk about our whole food philosophy that we crafted ourselves to help sort of go to market in both household and commercial. And then we're going to focus on what we do with that health message in the market. So super exciting for us. One of the fun facts is we claim we're the first infomercial with Papa Barner back in 1949. So we've been talking about whole food health for over 100 years. We do have a foundation that we provide money towards that allows us to go after and help those in the whole food realm. You can get these slides and sort of look at our foundation and see what we back up, but I want to get to the real people here, the experts behind us. As we look at our culinary purpose, we want to create the wow and showcase that Vitamix difference. I mean, I think most of you know Vitamix and have used a Vitamix in the industry. We really focus into that differentiation to pulverize those whole foods. That ability to get fresh whole foods blended up, whether it's in a smoothie, whether it's in a sauce or whatever. As we look at our team, we have a dynamite team. One of our family members that's on our team, she's a holistic doctor. We have a dietitian on staff. We have 5 OS chefs. So we're really looking forward to creating those healthy recipes for our household side and then providing services for the commercial side, especially in the smoothie realm, and that where our chefs can help develop recipes or even just help our sales rep better understand how to service the industry. And then finally, when we go into market, our photography, our team are there to create amazing pictures to entice people to really enjoy the food and look first, to keep it simple. And then also, all of our PR that we work with, our PR marketing firms really try to put us out there as experts in the whole food realm. And so with us working with the Cleveland Clinic and Dr. Roisen and Chef Perko, it's really that holistic partnership where we're talking the same message throughout the entire forum of how to eat and go for the Cleveland Clinic. And Dr. Roisen to come on up and really give their expertise and over 40 years of knowledge on whole food health and the reasons behind that presentation of where the science is. Dr. Roisen has been on Oprah. He's been everywhere in the world talking about this. He has his own books, and Chef Perkle has helped him with that. So let's bring them out right now, introduce themselves. And if I will proud to sponsor this and have them come out and speak for us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chef. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. Well, this is really great. I'm so excited. First, I need to thank ACF. I need to thank Rennie. I need to thank Chris Tanner. I need to thank Vitamix for giving us the opportunity to do this. I need to thank Robert Henry and the ACF staff. They've been great in allowing us to do this. So this has been a dream for me. And you're going to see a lot of what we do at Culinary Medicine. I couldn't do it without my sous chef. So I want to recognize Gabby Shipta, if you could stand, Gabby. The chef's name is sous chef, right? And she's a great sous chef. She's been with me 7 years, and all the things I'm going to show you, she helps me do. Okay, so let's begin. All right. So Doc, let's see, it's on. It's not advancing. Let's see. Let me just check. Go ahead. Okay, I'll keep talking when you figure that out. Okay. So culinary medicine, we've been doing culinary medicine at the Cleveland Clinic. Did our first pilot in 2008. Dr. Roisen, we started a program called the Lifestyle 180 program. And it's just been growing from there. Lately, culinary medicine's been a buzzword. But in 2018, I went to an NIH-funded research day in Napa at Greystone, David Eisenberg, Harvard School of Health and Nutrition. And he was part of the CIA's Healthy Kitchens, Healthy Lives, right? And he launched the TKC, the Teaching Kitchen Collaborative, which is still existing now today. But at that NIH-funded research day, National Institutes of Health, I saw 36 abstracts on culinary medicine, 36 different opinions on what it is. Because lately it's this buzzword, right? So I'm going to show you now what ours is. Not too fast. Okay, so here, in 2009, Dr. Cosgrove, who was the CEO and the head of the Cleveland Clinic, was in Time magazine. And he goes on to say, we are in the sickness business and we need to be in the health business. That was so powerful, because what he did was he put a spotlight, a shining spotlight on food as medicine, on integrative medicine, and on lifestyle medicine. That was a big shift for healthcare. I mean, Cleveland Clinic is the #1 heart hospital, 30 years in the country, stents and bypasses, all this stuff. And here's the head of it, talking about prevention and wellness. Major, major shift. Okay. Now, this one here, eventually, lifestyle medicine and integrative medicine has given rise to culinary medicines. That's us. That's you. That's all of us. Okay? Now, Chef Ferdinand Metz mentioned yesterday that we all need to have a food philosophy. And so I previewed with this him earlier, just so he doesn't get mad at me. Because I was on the 76 team with him. But when Chef Metz said, we need a food philosophy, that's mine, right there. Love the foods that love you back. And I'm going to add 2 more words to that. Passion and purpose, right? And then when Chef Metz says, less is more, I know he was talking about the plate, but my mind just instantly went to all humans, all of us chefs, and self-care. And then the sage words of Michael Pollan that said, eat food, not much, mostly plants, right? And then, also while this lights up, there's a bunch of colors over there. A chef asked a question to Mark Gann, right? And he asked a question about, what do you eat for your longevity? Because this guy's energy is off the charts at 88, right? And he says, bunch of different types of vegetables. Well, every different color's got a different phytonutrient, right? So, and then after that he said ginger and garlic. Well, the top 3 anti-inflammatory foods that a human can eat, number 1 is turmeric, followed by ginger, followed by garlic. And if there's a health benefit to garlic, everybody, it's in the oil, it's in the allicin, and you get the greatest benefit when it's raw. The allicin diminishes in the cooking process. Okay. So what is healthy? Why is it confusing? We get patients all the time. One doc says this, one doc says that. You know, do you eat meat or not, eggs or not, gluten or not, and so on, right? It's hard to navigate that. Here's a quick example. Plant paradox. Stephen Gundry says not to eat lectins. Lectins are legumes, but they dissipate when you cook the legume, right? There's another doc there, Michael Greger, founder of nutritionfacts.org. So a take home here real quick. If anybody here wants to get any evidence-based science for free, just Google nutritionfacts.org, one word, you can get all you want, and it's all free because of Michael Greger, who founded that. Okay, at Cleveland Clinic, so what is culinary medicine? I mentioned earlier the NIH-funded research day, 36 different opinions and abstracts. Here's what we message it to be at Cleveland Clinic. That it combines the evidence-based science of food, nutrition, and medicine with the joy and art of cooking. But when you make a meal, you're not just feeding somebody's belly. There's hospitality. You certainly get aromatherapy. Docs will talk about essential oils, right? Oh my God, in the kitchen, you got ginger, you got cinnamon, you got garlic. I mean, you know, I got 4 grandsons, I tell everybody, you know what they're gonna remember about Papa? His kitchen smells like garlic. Because what happens, if you cook with a kid, that creates food memories that are formed in childhood, carried for life, etched in stone. We all have that, everybody has that, right? So, and then you got all that functional exercise, washing pots and pans, and all going shopping. If anybody has a garden, heck, I'm doing yoga when I'm pulling weeds in the garden because I'm stretching to get that weed over there. So you get a lot of all these different disciplines when you're in the meal process. But at the end of the day, this is what culinary medicine really is. This is what I believe it to be in my heart. This is what I always message it to be. Now, I just told you nutritional science is across the board. But guys, we're a chameleon. I can work myself into anybody's diet, right? That's what chefs can do. But it takes nutritional science and it makes it taste good. That's us. That's what we do, right? Now, Gabby and I, we do a program with Tulsa Cancer Center. If I have a cancer patient who's got a head and neck cancer, who's prescribed to be on a texture-modified diet, minced and chopped up, or even more extreme pureed, then that pureed should taste good. That gives that patient quality of life, right? So that's the power of culinary medicine. So no matter what diet any patient anywhere is prescribed, or anybody is advised or prescribed to follow, they should enjoy their food and it should taste good. This was the Wall Street Journal 10 years ago. And I just made a slide out of it because of that one word, delicious. That's what chefs do. We put deliciousness into our food. That's us. John Foltz said at an ACF convention when he was president that ACF is the authority on cooking in America. Well, that's us. That's what we could do, but we could do so much more with that. Now, the impact of culinary medicine. So these next slides are going to show you not just what we do, but what everybody here in this room could do. Okay, we did the first Cleveland Clinic culinary medicine session at a Cleveland Clinic medical conference. This was Dr. Roisen's in 2019. All those people there in that talk, those are all docs in the salon getting a lecture like we did. But then the chef was really kind of us. This was at the Four Seasons in Vegas, and he let us go into the banquet room while they had other stuff going on. And all those docs went in, and you know what they did? They learned nice skills. Because no matter what diet anyone or anybody's going to do, you still got to know how to hold a knife in your hand. More importantly, you got to know how to hold the food in your other hand, so you can execute what is being prescribed to you, right? Now, we also partner with other organizations, California State University, but what's interesting here is it's now culinary interventions in healthcare. It is spreading across the country. There's so much opportunity for all of us here. We partner with physicians and docs, so sure, Doc and I did a book together, but everybody could do that. We all have the opportunity to do that. Now, when COVID hit, just like everybody else, we pivoted too, right? So this is a live patient program, virtual patient program over here. That's why the face is blocked out. But so Gabby and I do culinary medicine for chronic disease shared medical appointment. A shared medical appointment, so you can have for breast cancer, prostate cancer, MS, we've done them. So it's where the same group of people with the same diagnoses come in, and then they get their medical management from a physician so they could have reimbursement, and our part is doing the culinary piece. And so that's a patient in her kitchen, in her house, doing the recipe with us. So there's always ways to do that. This is culinary medicine for chronic disease shared medical appointment that Gabby and I do. The one next to it is our Tulsa Cancer Center session that is for active, ongoing cancer patients. They come in virtually, and we try to do whatever we can to help them because they got fatigue, taste changes, you know, the effects of radiation and chemo. So it's a great program, and I really enjoy doing that. We are part of a brain health study. This is the third study I've been part of. This is IRB approved. This is the mind study based off the mind diet to help build cognitive brain reserve, right? If it's good for your heart, it's good for your brain, right? And there's so much science and data behind that, okay? And so we do that first. So we created videos for that. This was the worldwide classroom. We did 312 kids, 16 schools, 3 states. But it's, again, when, you know, it's a way to, with the power of doing things virtually, now you can reach so many different people. Now, this one here is special and dear and close to my heart, right? So, some data real quick. Friday, Cleveland Plain Dealer came out, the Center for Disease and Control says 42% of adults in the United States are now obese. In 1976, 5.5% of children were obese. Now, it's 19%. In 1991, we launched Food is Knowledge. ACF adopted it, and I'm really happy to say we won the first Chef and Child Award for the Food is Knowledge program. But what that did, it didn't give a fish, it teaches how to fish. So it went into the classroom, taught by a teacher. You don't just touch the kid. That kid goes home, interactive child lesson plans. Now it touches the parent, and it touches their siblings and the entire family unit. Hopefully, maybe we could get back to doing something at ACF again. We've done anesthesiology residents since 2014. We had a 2-year break for COVID. We're back at doing it. Now Gabby's been doing it and doing all the demos and teaching herself for the past 2 years, and she does a great job doing that. But look at what they're doing there. They're learning knife skills. You guys are all the experts in knife skills, right? This is another study at Stephanie Tubbs Jones Health Center we have, but that's Tony over there. And I put that in because he's so proud. One of the things they had to do was go home and make something, bring it back in that was healthy, and he was just so proud of doing that. And so, you know, we can change lives. This is the cooking manual for the Boy Scouts of America on a national level. So when a kid goes camping with his dad or with his troop, right? We redid the manual for the Boy Scouts cooking to make it healthier when they go camping, right? So instead of just having hot dogs and so on. These are first responders, firefighters. They all got kitchens. You want your first responders to be healthy, right? So we did, Gabby and I just did 3 marathon sessions, 3 hours each long with University Heights Fire. But here's another thing I want to show you. This was their vending machine. Now these guys are tough guys. Like Henry Winkler said, you know, when buildings are on fire and people are running out, they're the ones that are running into that building. This was their vending machine, and look what they put. I will love you back, I will love you back on the healthier choices. I was tickled pink by that, so I had to make a slide of it. But while I'm on this one's for you, Rennie. the firefighters have a rank similar to the military, lieutenant, captain, right? Yeah. Now, there's over 1,300 VA centers in this country. There's many in Arizona, right? Prince Harry just got an award for the Invictus Games. He got the Pat Tillman Award, which Pat was from Arizona, played for the Arizona Cardinals, was a safety. After 9/11, he enlisted, became a Ranger, and you know the story, got killed in Afghanistan. But Renee, there's so much we could do for the VAs. The VAs all across this country now have teaching kitchens, right? And in those teaching kitchens, they created something called HTK, Healthy Teaching Kitchens, that has all this stuff online, how to poach, how to blanch, how to cut, how to chop. We could be doing this stuff. What's our thing, together for tomorrow? Look how much we could do together for tomorrow. ACF always wants to get press. You know how much press we could get if we work with the VA, and we're all over the country. And I know Reddy's a military guy, but he's a proud military guy. There's so much we could do for the military. A good friend of mine's a paladin medicine doc at the VA in Cleveland. He runs the regional VAs. And there's so much we could do, especially the ones that need it the most. And maybe a little bit like Prince Harry and the Invictus Games and give people meaning and purpose again. Okay. So, diabetic living. This lady in here, she got off all her insulin, type 2. So it's reversible. There's so many things we could do to help people. That whole article was featured on Teaching Kitchens. We got lucky, so we got in it. But that's the power of it. Teaching Kitchens, that's you, that's us, right? This is the Cleveland Clinic Arthritis Review. This is a magazine for docs where it's all managed by docs. Like Dr. Roisen, they put all this medical stuff in there and everything. Look what we got in there now. Not only did we put recipes, that's knife skills. That's an oblique cut. So when someone takes an oblique zucchini and oblique cuts it, it won't be soft and mushy because they sliced it. I got patients on our SMAs that we did virtual. Once they learned oblique, they go, wow, I really like that because my zucchini's not soggy anymore, right? But that's in a medical paper that the Cleveland Clinic puts out. That's what you guys can do. That's the power of culinary. That's the power that we have, what we should do. Okay, and I'm really proud of this one. I think I'm probably the first chef in the country to do this. We created the first Cleveland Clinic culinary medicine console that is charted in a patient's medical record. Chefs don't chart medical records. Docs do, dietitians do, PAs do, medical providers do. Chefs don't do that. It's out of pocket because sadly our government doesn't recognize culinary medicine to reimburse it. Maybe in my lifetime I'll get to see it where they do. It's $200 for a 2-hour session, and we cook. So I might do 8 or 9 recipes. Gabby helps me someday. I just go boom, 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 boom from table, and in 2 hours, respective to whatever dietary restrictions they have, so they can execute what is being prescribed to them by their medical provider, so they don't compromise the taste of their meals or their health, and they can sustain whatever behavior changes that they're being advised to do. Okay, now the next one here, this is Dr. Roisen. So, I am, but I gotta say that the first doc, before I do, this guy's one of my heroes in life. I love this man. He never ever says no to me, not ever. And he's gotta fly out to go somewhere tomorrow, but he came here to do this, so Doc, I thank you so much. Okay, here's your picture.
You're not doing it, Jim. He'll be back. I always pick on someone. Anyone being willing to be picked on, I'll pick on someone from this table. Thank you. So we're going to start with a question, but I'm going to tell you that food changes how long and how well you live in a very substantial way. It's actually the second most important thing we know of in lifestyle choices. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But let's start with a question, and that is, your name is Keith. Keith, go ahead and hold this. I'm going to come back and you're in trouble. Why, if you have the symptoms of a heart attack or stroke, would you get to the
would they be doing to help you stay alive?
Get your heart beating again, or get the blood flowing to your heart or your brain.
Until about 10 years ago, that's what all of us in medicine thought. The reason was to open the arteries to get the blood supply there to save marginal tissue. We've learned that's not all you're doing. In fact, it's not the most important thing you're doing. The most important thing the physician group does is open the arteries, but it's to get stem cells there, and those stem cells repair your heart. And you guys and ladies control a lot of the length of stem cells. So there are 14 areas of research into the mechanism of aging, how long and well we live. And one of those relates to stem cells, because stem cells are not only the mothers from which one cell of which all we come from, but they are, in fact, what comes in and repairs things. We learned that when a male heart was transplanted into a female body. That female subsequently had a heart attack. And she was right near the hospital, so she got in there and got her blood flow restored to that transplanted heart. And what cells did they find? And by the way, when you have a heart attack, your ejection fraction, the amount of blood you put out with each beat, declines substantially with the heart attack. So her ejection fraction went in that transplanted heart from 55% down to about 30%. But over 6 weeks it came back to 60%. And what made it come back? It was those stem cells that she was able to get from her bone marrow into the heart that turned into heart cells that got that to function again. So in that male heart, they found female stem cells that had matured into heart cells. And one of the major ways that happens, one of the major reasons that's important, is because we have a limited number of stem cells. Keith, have you ever had a sunburn?
Yes.
Yeah, you wasted stem cells. That is, we only get so many duplications of our stem cells. It's called the Hayflick limit. It's 70 to 110, because we have something protective, a cap on the end of our chromosomes that limits the number of duplications we have. It's there to protect the chromosomes from damage. But when you duplicate a cell, you use up a certain amount of that telomere. So you can think of that telomere as like the aglet, that plastic part at the end of your shoelace. It's protecting the shoelace from fraying. Well, that, if you will, telomere protects your chromosomes from fraying and from damage. But it also means that we're limited in the numbers. And what do you think the second most powerful thing is at shortening or not your telomeres?
Proper diet.
Food, that's right. So you guys are incredibly important at keeping telomeres long or not. You can hold that, I'm gonna come back.
Okay, I'll be here.
So the problem is that each of us has a limited number of stem cells to repair ourselves, and if we waste them. So why don't you get a scar when you get a sunburn? It's because the blood flow comes from deep and it's already there, and you use your stem cells up to repair your sunburn. So you don't want to do that. If you have inflammation any place in your body, you use up your stem cells. So if you look at it in stem cells, there are a number of things that help us keep our stem cells long or not. And if you will, people who regularly meditate have longer telomeres. So stress, and obviously the society, your group, is doing a lot to help each of you, or is trying to do a lot, and is offering a lot to help each of you manage stress. And obviously, being in the kitchen is a very stressful thing. By the way, as I look out, I would not book a a reservation at a restaurant this week. But in any case, if you look at people who regularly meditate have longer telomeres. People who have friends have longer telomeres. And I've underlined these two because they're important. People who eat healthy food, and we'll get to what that means, and who eat healthy food have longer telomeres. People who regularly eat simple sugars, added syrups, and processed food have shorter telomeres. Now, you don't want to go through the rest of these, other than most people like the last one on the list, which is people who regularly sleep longer have longer telomeres, and people who regularly have sex have longer telomeres. You're more important than sex to the telomere lady. You're supposed to laugh at this. I'm going to have to tell you when to laugh. We're in trouble. But people, you're more important than sex in telomere length. So, as I said, there are 14 areas, and if you keep your telomeres longer with healthy food, if you will, and providing it, you actually have, you can repair everything. That is, you can repair your heart, you can repair your joints, you can repair your blood vessels, your brain, your lungs, etc. You get to repair everything. That's one of the things we've learned, that one of the most important things that the body has is a system to repair every part of it. So let's now go and look specifically, if you will, at its importance. So one of the things on this, as I said, is the great opportunity to be younger again because you repair it. So why do you get to the hospital fast when you have a stroke or chest pain? It's to get the blood vessels open so your stem cells can repair you back to normal. Keith, how long do you expect to live? How old are you now, by the way?
64.
64. So when you were born, do you know what your life expectancy was when you were born?
60.
That's right, so you're already past due dates. But that's part of what's happened. We've gotten food so that you can get that way. We've gotten medicine to help you. How long do you expect to live?
90.
90. That's pretty good. This is the data, if you will. So I'm going to take you 65. The average lifespan predicted when you were born, I was wrong, at 73. The average lifespan now of people who are 65 is 82 in men, but we think you're going to live to 110.
That's awesome.
That's because the scientific advances are occurring fast enough that we think you can get there. And part of the reason to concentrate on culinary medicine, that is how important food is we're no longer trying to get you to 40 without disability or 65 without disability. Our job, if you will, and your job, we hope you take it on as a challenge, is in fact to get to 110 without disability. One of the keys with food, so what is sugar so bad about? Why is it so bad? It's bad because it creates inflammation. And this is a neuron, that heavy black area is a nerve cell, we call it a neuron, and those branches are how it communicates throughout the brain. They're called axons and dendrites. And you'll notice this woman, over a 6-month period, went from having dendrites that look like that to dendrites with stress. She was a caregiver. Caregiving is one of the most stressful things you can have, and that's what happened with that. It also happens when you feed sugar to the brain. It causes the same process because it stimulates inflammation. So you have an enormous power over how big and how well our memories function. If you look at it, so when we say what are the rules of eating in culinary medicine, it is the first one, which Jim said, is food is a relationship. You wouldn't marry someone who is trying to kill you every day. You shouldn't eat food that's trying to kill you every day. So food is just like a marriage. You should love eating. It should be, as Jim says, delicious, but it should love your body back. Two is that nutrition is the three components: food choices, portion size, and timing. Three, there are only 5 foods that are harmful. I've already mentioned, if you will, 3 of them: sugar, added syrup, simple carbs. Things that turn into blood sugar in your bloodstream quickly. The other 2 are red meat and processed red meat. So it's things that either raise your blood sugar too fast or directly cause inflammation in you. Everything else can love you back. Everything else can love you back. And as Jim says, we focus with patients on what do you like to eat, and then find things that will love them back. As we get older, we've learned we need more protein than we traditionally have thought. And so leucine is the amino acid that causes our muscles and our bones and the rest of our protein organs to get stronger. One of the major problems as we get old is we do lose muscle mass and bone mass, and getting more protein looks like it is a way of helping that. And try to enjoy. That is, the foods we know have some extra special benefit are extra virgin olive oil, salmon, foods with fiber, coffee, water, cooked tomatoes, leafy greens, and blueberries. You've had all of those, or had the opportunity to have all of those today, so your society is really trying to help you and all of us stay younger. The 7th is there are a few supplements that also have a special benefit. In fact, there are 18 of them now. I disclose my conflicts of interest. I did write these books. My main claim to fame, when Real Age came out, it displaced Harry Potter for 7 days as #1 on Amazon. When The Owner's Manual came out, it displaced Harry Potter for 35 days as #1 on Amazon. And when You on a Diet came out, it actually displaced Harry Potter. This tells you how important diet is. It displaced Harry Potter for 177 days, still the all-time record. That's #1 on Amazon. And was #1 on the New York Times list for 17 weeks in a row. You control that. That is, diet is your thing. And no one else is as important as you in the diets of America. Keith, by the way, you are getting a copy of the latest book. So keep the microphone. I have more questions for you. This is the patient that motivated a number of us to really understand how important diet was. This gentleman has what we call ratty coronary artery disease. This is the main artery of the heart, the left anterior descending artery, also known as the widowmaker. And if you look at that middle portion of it, where the arrow and brackets are, that's the left anterior descending, and that's the ratty part. He was turned down at Hopkins for coronary artery bypass surgery in '96 because there was no place to put the artery. There was no good place to bypass. You need a normal artery to bypass the rattiness. He didn't have it. And so he came to the Cleveland Clinic to try and get coronary artery surgery. And he was turned down by our guys as well because, again, he didn't have a place to put it in. And so he said to Dr. Esselstyn, what am I just to do, die? No one's going to be able to help me. This is before statins, etc. And Essie said to him, well, you can do 4 things if you want and get better. And he said, yeah, what are they? Well, one of which is to avoid, if you will, any food that has a face or a mother. Second is, if you smoke, and he did, you give up cigarettes. The third is to walk 10,000 steps a day, and the fourth was to meditate morning and night. And this guy said back to Essie, you said I'm supposed to walk 10,000 steps a day, and Essie said yes, and he said, I can't walk 5 steps without chest pain. And Essie said to him, well, you have a new job. Your job is to walk 5 steps 2,000 times a day. He did that, and without surgery, without stents, without anything, but with the same x-ray machines, with the same magnification, 2.5 years later, that was his artery. You not only change the physiology, you get to change which of your genes are on or not and repair things. And yes, it includes repairing arteries. You get to reverse a lot of the damage you've done if you want to. And food is the essence for doing that, food choices. A lot of our knowledge started with the Human Genome Project. Keith?
Yes.
How much did the Human Genome Project cost in 1992 to 2001 when it was done? It was done in 2 places, private and NIH. How much was the charge for it?
I have no idea.
Take a wild guess.
$1.
$1.
No. 1 million.
1 million. Ask a friend.
2 billion.
Very close. It's $3 billion. It's 3.1 in private industry, 3 billion at NIH. It's the only thing that NIH has done more efficiently than private industry. In any case, what does that same thing cost now?
10 billion.
No, it costs $40. NIH, you can get it commercially at Walmart for $100, except during Mother's Day and Father's Day when they have a special on it, probably on Prime Day for $70. In any case, the point is the cost of doing science, that we know how important food choices are, and we know the data that I've said has come down 8,000-fold. It's like a steak. I hate to use a steak as an example. It's like a piece of salmon that cost $12 is now 8 cents. That's how great a reduction in the cost of doing science has gotten, which is why we're advancing so fast in knowing how to help you stay younger longer. Why it is very likely that when you get to be 90, with an 80% probability you're going to be able to get to be 40 again. Why is that? Well, what we found was not 300,000 genes, but 22,500 genes. What was the rest of the DNA? They called it junk DNA. But 8 years later, it was found that it was switches. It is switches that control which of your genes are on or not. And the incredible thing is you control 80 to 94% of those switches. And food is the second most powerful thing at controlling those switches. You have enormous power, and your choices and what you give your customers have enormous power over their genes. Your genes make proteins, and the proteins are what make you. Everything in our body that has a physical action, all hormones, etc., are proteins. And you get to control them. That's why you can reverse disease. That's why you can live a lot longer and probably reboot the aging process. You are the most powerful genetic engineer, and you get to engineer every one of your clients. This is what's called a heat map. And the heat map is, if you will, it turns red when those genes are on. So these genes are on up here. They're red. This is 52 people, strips of genes from 52 nurses at N1 before they took this program. And here it is at N2, which is 16 weeks later. It was a 6-week stress management program. And here the nurses are at M, which is a year later. They took these genes up here that are red, over here in the top third, and turned them largely off. And conversely, they took these genes which were off and turned them largely on. What did they do? The genes that create inflammation, those red ones in the top third, they turned off with stress management. And that's also what food does. This is another map. This is another heat map. This is a 52 guys with prostate cancer. And guess what? The break here on these 52 guys, there are 52 strips of genes on the left side, and the same 52 guys had strips of genes 1 year later on the right side. And you'll notice that in the bottom, they're largely red and they become green, and at the top, they're green and become red. What are the two that start with the Z up there at the top? Those are two genes that produce proteins. They cause the GSTM1 proteins that cause prostate, colon, and breast cancer cells to commit suicide. So they turned those on over the year. Conversely, these 5 down here, they're the RAS family of genes that cause or promote the growth of prostate, colon, and breast cancer. And they turned those from on to off. What did they do? They did 10,000 steps a day. They meditated morning and night. The 3 guys who quit smoking, and they eliminated 5 foods. You know the 5 foods they eliminated already. Simple sugars, added syrups, simple carbohydrates, red meat, and processed red meat. And that's all they did. It's now 14 years later, and only 1 of the 52 has progressed beyond that, those treatments for their prostate cancer, as opposed to 32 in the control group. You have enormous power over your genes and the genes of your customers' clients. Your genes make proteins. That's all they do. And you get to turn the switches which turn those genes either into protein-making factories or turn them off. And food is the second most important choice. That is, if you look at the data, this is the degree of importance, and you'll see the sex is 16 years, but food is 27. That is a tough group, no one's laughing. The point is, you have enormous ability to change which of your genes are on or not, and that has enormous ability to make you feel and act and be younger or older. I'm going to, nutrition, as I said, is the second most important. Now here's a cartoon. We have a cartoon every week that goes out with our newsletter. It says, all the chemical ingredients in the food were made by organic free-range scientists. Don't worry about it. That's all BS, bad science. The key point is simple sugars, added syrup, simple carbs, and red meat and processed red meat. If you avoid those, almost everything else is okay. Everything else is at least 2 orders of magnitude healthier than those 5 foods. So basic rules. Jim ran late, I'm running late, so Jim, do you want me to cut it here, and where are you? I saw your section.
Show your videos if you can.
Oh, they take a while to get to. Okay, we'll get there.
Let's do it.
Avoid the 5 snake oil foods that cause inflammation. Everything else is great. Let me show you what happens when you eat sugar. So this is the memory center of the brain, and this is the area that is most important, called your hippocampus. So this down here, the green, blue, and red are your hippocampus. This is in a 6-month period, that same lady, and you see what happens to her hippocampus. It shrinks. The hippocampus shrinks when you get sugar. The hippocampus shrinks when you get syrups and red meat, because they cause inflammation in that area. You don't want your memory center to go away. So you get to improve food. Here's one of the examples. We said in 1998, we said that 60 could be the new 40. It is. When you look at the healthy lifestyle studies, it is. You get to live 23 years with more disability free, with avoiding, and just basically it was food. Yeah, they did 10,000 steps a day, and they did stress management too. But it's a huge benefit when you choose to avoid those 5 foods and choose food that you like. When they looked at people with minimal cognitive dysfunction, just going with the diet was an ability in 60% to prevent progression of cognitive dysfunction into serious dementia. You get to control your genes. Now, Jim wants me to show you what happens when you take sugar in and you get too much of it. Well, I'm going to show it to you as a series of statements in that video. There are 4 problems we know of from too high a blood sugar. 1, you accumulate fat in your middle, and fat in your middle is not benign. You'd think it's an inert substance, right? But it isn't. It creates inflammatory molecules. So this is the yellow is sugar, the small yellow traveling in the bloodstream is sugar, and you see the fat accumulating. Fat then puts out inflammatory molecules, and that marbles the muscle. You may want it to marble animals' muscle, but you don't want it to marble your muscle. So that's a first reason to avoid it. The second reason is that the blood sugar gets on your proteins and causes them to dysfunction. That is, hemoglobin A1C is just a hemoglobin molecule with a sugar stuck in the A1C position. It attaches to that protein and prevents you from releasing oxygen normally. That's why they get ulcer disease in the legs, diabetics. That's why they get kidney disease. That's why they get brain disease. It's because the sugar has attached to a protein, causing it to dysfunction. And the classic example is a heart attack. This is the inside of a blood vessel. And those tile-looking things are what we call the endothelial cells. They're the cells that make up. And what joins the cells together? It's a grout protein. It's a protein that links the cells so you don't leak blood outside of your blood vessels. And when you have a heart attack, you see that area, that little area where there's a tear, you replace that tear with LDL cholesterol. And over time it gets inflamed and then it busts away and accumulates platelets and clotting factors on top of that, and they stop the red cells, and that's a heart attack or stroke or wrinkle on your skin. Keith, is a wrinkle on your skin any different than a heart attack?
Based on what you said, I would say no.
No, it's just where it occurs. And whether you've got a wrinkle on your skin or you've got a heart attack, it's the same process. A tear in the blood vessel that gets repaired with LDL cholesterol. What caused the tear? It was high blood pressure or blood pressure that's normal coming against a grout protein, the protein that keeps those cells together, getting too much sugar on it and weakening. So what caused it? That was the ice cream over there that caused it.
Oh boy.
The third thing is you get inflammation. The major cause of kidney dysfunction in America, which is now a major problem, is in fact inflammation from food, from sugar and syrups and simple carbs. And that causes inflammation and it shortens your telomeres. What does that do together? It means you can't repair the kidney because you've used up all your duplications of your stem cells, so you don't have any more stem cells to send in and repair. I'm going to skip this one, which just goes over that very point. And the fourth problem is that you evaporate your ability to produce energy. You cause the same inflammatory changes in your energy transfer cells, so you don't have as much energy, and we get tired, and you can't keep up with your grandchildren as you get older. So those are the basic rules. Now the second thing is red meat and, if you will, processed red meat. And why does that cause inflammation? It causes it because it changes the gene functioning of the bacteria inside you. When you have red meat or processed red meat, it changes the switches on the bacteria you already have inside your gut, and they produce an inflammatory thing called trimethylamine. And if you will, under trimethylamine goes to the liver and we automatically convert it to trimethylamine oxide, which is very inflammatory to the rest of your body. So trimethylamine oxide correlates directly with the relative risk of heart attacks and strokes and cancer and dementia. And why is red meat bad? It isn't the cholesterol in it. It isn't whether it's grass-fed or not. It is the carnitine combined with saturated fat turns on the switches in the bacteria that make trimethylamine. So I've said that food is the most important. There are 40 things that you can do to prevent brain dysfunction, and if you look at them, 12 of them at least are specific to food, and I'm going to go. So just one of them is, I'm going to skip some of these from a time standpoint, but some of them are really easy, and Jim's mentioned some of them already. Aromatherapy. Take 4 smells deeply for 20 seconds each of 4 different substances. Many of you probably do that, but your customers probably don't. And those 4 smells in now human trials reverse both the cognitive dysfunction of COVID and of the common form of Parkinsonian dementia. Black coffee, you've seen me with it. Black coffee actually reverses liver disease, reverses dementia, prevents dementia. It's probably the best food we know of on the planet. It should be through a paper filter and without additives. And I'm going to skip now and say, I've got a lot more slides, but we don't have much more time, and I promised Jim I'd leave him at least 5 minutes. So, hold on, you can see B vitamins are another thing that helps with other things. So I'm going to just leave you with this. Change your attitude. You are a genetic engineer for you. What you do matters. What you do matters for all you serve as well. Only eat food you love and that loves you back. Choose a team. You can't do it all yourself. You have to have buddies. So one of the great things about a meeting like this is you have a posse. You can talk to other people here and use them as your support as you go along. At speed, your body and brain, that is walk a little faster and do, if you will, we call speed of processing. Brain games are the only thing that make a difference, as well as coffee and olive oil and 4 smells, and manage stress, including communicating with your posse. Now, I always, Jim, I'm going to show the last set. So we do have if you go to longevityplaybook.com, you can sign up for the newsletter. This is my favorite cartoon of all in the newsletter. It says, with everything else I have to do now, I have to concentrate on breathing too. So there is a small cartoon with it every year. So as I said, it's a team sport. Generally, men are lousy team members. This is a male team member, and so you want to get some women in your practice, as Gabby is with Jim. So this is the buddy. He sees the guy, his buddy, having a problem, and he immediately goes to help, not one question asked. That is a male buddy. As opposed to a female buddy who helps you run a little faster, and when you need to be picked up, she comes along and picks you up. Thank you very much.
You're awesome. Okay, so I'll do this really fast. So what's our first step? How do we begin? What do we do to begin for our patients? Is this right here. Not to think about all the things they can't have, shouldn't have, or advised not to have. Somebody's diagnosed with celiac disease, they can't be thinking about gluten, right? So instead you got to think about all the grains that are gluten-free. That becomes their can't-have world, and that applies to any dietary restriction, and that's what makes this slide so huge. You can't love what you don't know. So how does that celiac patient know they're not going to like millet if they never had it, or quinoa, or any other gluten-free grain? So when I go to see different patients with different diagnoses, this slide becomes huge. You got to give things a chance. We did a nutrition culinary medicine toolkit. I'm going to show a QR code, you can get it. But all these things that you see on that slide, if I can show somebody how to make something sweet without adding sugar to one thing, it's a technique. They can do it to 10 other things. I can do it to any dietary restriction. All those things there you see, I can do to any type of dietary restriction. Our toolkit, you can get it online if you want. Those are all the components of it. We do nice skills, that's really important. We did a 58-minute video. This is what we can do for the VA hospitals, right? All around the country and other organizations. We also were part of National Arthritis Foundation. They did an e-book of our recipes to fight inflammation that was on their diet. All you got to do is Google National Arthritis Foundation, Cleveland Clinic, Chef Fergo, or something recipes, it'll pop up. And then here's 3 QR codes. The top one is 28 pages of our toolkit. The top right is 113 episodes of In the Kitchen with Chef Jim and Dr. Mike, where Dr. Roisen gives the science, just like you heard him now. He gives the science, and then Gabby and I, we do a recipe that illustrates what he just said. So if he talks about why you want to moderate your consumption of an egg yolk, then we show you how to make something without that egg yolk. There's 113 different episodes with awesome information. That's true culinary medicine. Culinary medicine is the chef, medicine's the doc, and it's a partnership together. And that bottom one is our website with all the services in culinary medicine at the Cleveland Clinic that we offer. And so real quickly, you know, a lot of the demographics where I go, mac and cheese traditionally isn't going to love anybody back, right? So we show them how to do it. It's plant-based, vegan, cashews, butternut squash, and so on. But it's, you know, here it is. It looks delicious, right? But it's totally plant-based and vegan. It's awesome. But why is that important? Here's why. Because there's a tsunami of opposition that works against wellness. That's a perfect example. Cleveland Plain Dealer, Meals with Soul, they do this recipe. no nutritional analysis, no portion size, a 9 by 13 pan. You could see the numbers in red, 1,300 milligrams. So we compared our 9 by 13 with their 9 by 13 because they didn't give a portion size. We analyzed them both. Gabby did. And so 1,300 more milligrams of cholesterol. We didn't have any. But look at, they got, the sodium is off the charts, 7,500 milligrams of sodium more. Now, sodium causes the high blood pressure, causes diabetes. Diabetes is the number one cause of kidney disease. So those are the things that's why it's so important. This is what we're going to demo later on. This is where you'll have the garlic raw. Vinaigrette dressing, textbook, 3-to-1 ratio, 3 parts oil, right? 1 part acid. That's what they still teach in schools today. Problem is, a tablespoon of oil, any kind of oil, is 120 calories. Better ones might be 2-to-1. We advise our patients to never ever do anything more than 1-to-1, right? And so here's the thing, we had hummus now for breakfast. If you had hummus like they do in Israel, the Middle East for breakfast, check out what happens. You get a 71% reduction in your blood glucose spike. And if you didn't have anything else for lunch, you still get a 30-some% for lunch without even having, because you get a second meal effect. Right? Here's how we make a salad dressing with no added oil, no added sugar, no added sodium. 3 figs, 3 prunes, 3/4 cup of water, cover pot, put it in, reduce it down, balsamic vinegar, blueberries, and then we got some pepper, we got some garlic, you put a little mustard in if you want. But look at it, it's thick as heck. But where did the sugar come from? The fig, the prune, the blueberries. It also gave density. When someone's is constipated, what do? They nosh on prunes, right? The best way to get your sugar is with the fiber attached. And we all need more dietary fiber. And you got the dietary fiber in that fig and that prune. All right, and this is the last one thing, chefs are notorious for burning and blackening. So I just threw this in because there are carcinogens. Anytime you burn or blacken anything, carcinogens are associated with it. So all these pit masters and all this stuff that happens, and it's even in the smoke. I just put that there as a wake-up call because it was this vote thing for chefs. And so this was the end. These are our take-home points, is that the American Culinary Federation has you guys, we have a great opportunity to collaborate in the growing field of culinary medicine. It's a powerful, powerful tool in a physician's medicine bag. And more docs, now they're teaching it in schools. It's part of their curriculum. We got culinary medicine in the Cleveland Clinic or the College of Medicine. It's not an elective anymore. It's embedded into the curriculum. They need chefs. That's us. And so it's that like mindset that we need to consider, with the healthcare field. And then we have an opportunity to partner with dietitians as well as physicians to promote the wellness and well-being of all those that we serve. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much.